All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode, and this week we're going to be talking about some foam core paddles, some different type of training balls that we got to test, and then also we're going to tell you how you can film yourself on the court to improve faster at pickleball. This is something that a listener had suggested as a topic, so we're going to talk about all the equipment you need to do that effectively and improve a little bit quicker. Also, this is the first week with the Chill with Will segment, so you'll see that shortly after the news and updates.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so first thing I want to talk about is we got to hit two different types of balls this week. So first was this one, I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. It's either BZER ball. I'm not sure exactly how you hit it, but we'll pop up a picture and the spelling of it if you're watching on YouTube. But it's just this tiny little ball,
Yeah.
and it's a little more like rubbery. It's not like hard plastic like a regular ball, but basically it's just designed to be this training aid that you play with as a warm-up, and then when you go back to a regular ball, you're like, holy cow, this thing is huge.
It's like hitting a volleyball.
Yeah, it's like you feel like you can't miss the ball. But what's really funny about this, at first, when I heard about this thing, I was like, I'm not interested. And then the thing that made me interested is in speed cubing. When I was doing that, we had these cubes that were really large. Not like they had a ton of pieces, but it was literally a normal Rubik's Cube just scaled way up. Or not even way up. Sometimes they were just like this big. And a normal one's, like this big or whatever. Anyways, you would use one of those and then go back to a regular one, and you would feel so fast because your fingers weren't stretched out anymore. And so when they went back to normal, you just felt quick. And this is like the same thing.
Yeah.
So after hitting with it, I was like, oh, it's literally like I could see using this as a tournament or at a tournament to warm up, and then you go back to a regular ball and you're like, this is so easy.
Yeah, it was crazy. When we were using it the other day, one is just fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool, it's fun. I like hitting. It's fast. It's
Yeah.
very fast. If you flick a little too quick, you will bag your person you're training with. And
Yeah.
it's fun.
For like dinks and stuff like that, it came off pretty normal, but if you caught like a counter or a flick really right, you're just going to
They're
square
just
the
so
person.
springy and small that it's easy to get them to accelerate.
Yeah.
And then, when you went back to a regular ball, dude, it was crazy. Looking at that thing, it looked freaking massive.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It does feel a little weird because this is a little more rubberized. Did feel a little bit weird going back to the regular ball. Like you could definitely tell when you missed the
it was
center
so
more.
stiff.
Yeah, so stiff.
Yeah.
But either way, if you guys are interested, you can check them out. I honestly think they're pretty interesting. I think they are. I don't think I have a code that works yet. I think they're like $20 for a pack. PB Studio may or may not work later this week, but it is a really interesting ball and probably something I'll use. Even if I'm going to go drill, I might use it just before warm up.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it for like 3 minutes, go to a regular ball, and you're like, oh, this is pretty easy. So just kind of a fun thing. I think it's like 3 balls in a container or something like that. So I don't know. Just thought it was interesting. And then the other one is this 3D printed ball.
Yes.
I had seen this going around on social media, and I thought it was like that 3D printed basketball where I was like, this isn't going to be a thing or it's going to be really expensive. Someone messaged me and was like, hey, you can buy this. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go buy it. So they have two. They have an original ball and a fast ball. The fast ball, I think, is the one most people are probably going to want. The original one's kind of weird. But basically, it's just a 3D printed pickleball, and it plays very interesting. It's designed to be quiet. That's like the goal of it.
Yep.
And I think it's probably a little bit better than the Gamma foam ball. The Gamma foam ball might be better indoors, maybe. Like this ball, the 3D one really isn't bad for the wall, but it does seem to pick up the raw carbon fiber dust on your paddle, and then like it might leave it on your wall, whereas the Gamma foam ball doesn't seem to do that.
Yep.
But so I went out, hit it for like 5 minutes with Sarah the other day. You got to go out and hit it.
I've hit it a bunch. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think I haven't looked at the website and how they're marketing it and what they're claiming for it, but what I know is I think it fits a really nice niche.
Yeah.
Where I played some skinny singles with a friend of mine here, and the ball is very interesting. So one, it's kind of rubbery.
Yeah.
And it compresses a lot very easily. There's two versions. There's a soft one and a stiff one.
Yep.
And you have to swing really hard from the baseline and stuff. Like drops, you have to like really swing through it. So I don't really like that in terms of like if you're trying to play games or do drills with it like that.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. It's like badminton where you could lob it and it's a reset because they can smash that thing as hard as they want and it'll accelerate and be fast for a little bit. The second it hits the ground, it literally just floats and stops. It's just so slow, and then you can just get right back into it. So I'm not a huge fan of it for like playing, but if you need to be quiet and you need to do hands drills, I think that's where it's great. So it's dead silent, and when you do hands drills, it feels very similar to a regular pickleball.
Yeah.
And your swing doesn't have to change very much when you're doing hands with it. So I think as a hands training tool, I really like it for that. My biggest complaint is the filament or whatever they're using to 3D print these, it's black.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to see it.
It's like gray, black, and at the courts I was doing it at, I was literally losing it on the other side of the net in the court color, which I think is like a dark blue or something over there. And if someone was wearing a dark colored shirt, also very hard to see.
That happened. I was wearing a black shirt, and my friend that I was hitting with, he was like, dude, I can't see it. It's just gone.
Yeah, like Sarah would go and hit like a drive or something, and I'm like, I don't know where the ball is. I'm like, it was just lined up with your body the whole time, and I couldn't see it. So
the nice thing is, though, is I was not afraid of getting hit by it at all.
Yeah,
because it's so soft.
Yeah.
It's like squishy that like you could just absolutely rip that thing out.
It would be like in between a gamma foam ball and a regular ball, where like if you got like hit in the face, it wouldn't feel great, but it's not
still
really gonna hurt you.
But it's not gonna bruise you. Or like, it'll sting.
Where like the gamma foam ball, you're just not gonna feel anything.
Yeah, it just doesn't have enough weight to it. Where these actually have a little bit of weight to it. I think they're just barely lighter.
Yeah, it's
than
just
a regular
barely lighter
ball.
than a regular ball.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
The concept of it is very cool. I don't think it's gonna be the like perfect replacement, but again, everyone or a lot of people seem focused on, let's make these quiet paddles. This is why I'm like, you should just focus on the ball.
Yeah.
This is not perfect, but I feel like we could get to something that's better. The two things that I noticed with this, obviously it slows down. So that's like different, doesn't feel right. The color's off. But it is a lot quieter, and at least so far, the durability of it seems pretty good. It gets good spin.
Yep.
The other weird thing about it is because it's not super firm like a regular pickleball, when you miss the sweet spot, it's harder to tell. Like with a firm plastic ball, you know immediately that you missed the sweet spot. But if you have a ball that compresses like this one does, it's a little harder to tell.
Paddle doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah, like I had two paddles. I had, what did I bring with me? I brought a Vatic, and did I bring a gearbox? I can't remember. I brought like a power paddle and a control paddle. And it was definitely harder to tell the difference between them with a ball that's this springy. So I think you still need a ball that's more firm, but of a material that is a little more quiet. So that way, if you miss, you can still tell.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we're headed in the direction where someone could find the right formula for the ball. Doesn't feel like a lot of people are trying right now.
Yeah, I would like to see more development in the ball. I mean, with the Vulcan ball, anything is better. So
I don't know. The second one's not that bad. Here's the problem. People in pickleball do this all the time, and it drives me nuts. It's actually, especially with the balls, this drives me nuts. For example, you show up at a local park, and someone immediately realizes it's not a Franklin, and they miss a shot. They're like, oh, it's the ball. I'm not playing with that ball. It could be a Dura. It could be whatever. It could be a ball that's almost the same as a Franklin, and they'll be like, nope, not playing with that. That people have such like favoritism. For example, when people in our area really like the Dura, you'd show up with anything else. They're like, nope, not playing. Like they just think they're playing bad because of the ball.
Well, prime example of that is we just had a very big local tournament this weekend that happened, and we'll get into that later. But they used the Pro S1, which not really many people are playing with the Pro S1 around here.
Yeah.
So a lot of the competitive people, we had some nights on Wednesday where one of our facilities was holding like some training, like people can partner up and get ready for the tournament. So we use Pro S1s, and the amount of people
use the diadem ball.
Or that's right, we were using the diadem ball
because it's Pro S1.
Similar. They didn't have Pro S1s there, and it's diadem's close enough. But the amount of people that absolutely hated that ball and were just like, I don't want to play because I'm playing terrible with this ball, blah blah blah. I was just like, it's not.
Here's the thing. I think there's for sure differences between a lot of these balls. The difference between a Franklin and a Dura is night and day. There's for sure a difference, but some of these balls, I think people just see it and go, oh, like it has to be the ball.
Yeah.
And so, for example, with the next gen Vulcan, I've hit it enough now, mostly in drilling, where I've had no complaints. I haven't had a time where I'm like, oh, the ball bounced weird or something. And so a lot of people are still like, oh man, the Vulcan ball sucks. And I'm like,
see, I've still had bad bounce, like too many bad bounces in one game to like I just don't like it. And I'm not gonna like, I'm not complaining. Like when I play with it, I'm not saying, oh, like I missed that drop because of it, or I missed this overhead. Like no. I'm only complaining about how fast it warps and how bad it bounces consistently.
Yeah, I still feel like this doesn't warp nearly as bad as the original Vulcan ball.
Not as bad, but still worse than like. I still feel like it has worse bounces than a Dura.
I don't know about that.
No, but here's the thing. The Dura let you know when it was dying. It would just crack, and you would know it's dead. Where these don't crack, they just warp and get worse.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I haven't had enough time on it yet, but with the other Vulcan ball, I knew immediately. Like I'd be finishing a warm up, and I could tell that ball was warped and bouncing weird.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have that with the Vulcan ball, and I just feel like I remember too. Maybe a year and a half ago when I was just trying different balls because I wanted to make a video about different balls, and like I'd have like a Wilson ball.
Yeah.
People just be like, no, I'm not playing with that. And I'm like, dude, like they just see that it's not their preferred ball. And
people are picky, man. People are picky.
But anyways, yeah, I want to see people mess around. Like this 3D printed ball, I'm like, okay, the concept's there. Could you like make it so it's a little stiffer, which I'm sure would make it a little louder. But I don't know. I just wonder if there are ways to make this whole thing work and not have to change the entire paddle market.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, one other thing I wanted to talk about really quick is the kitchen bag. So working on the review of that right now. I'll grab mine here. See if I can still talk into the mic and do this. This might be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
All right. So
boom.
Kitchen bag here. So far, still really liking the bag. There's definitely things that it could do a little bit better. But one thing I found that works really well is these hooks on the front of the bag. You can use it for the shoe cube, or you can use it for the quick access paddle sleeve. This company that I think we all really like, at least here, is Peak Design, and they sell these little pouches. So this one I have on the front is like the slim pouch, and it just unzips, and then you have easy access to whatever you need. So especially if this is hung on the fence, like you can see it here. If it's hung on the fence, you have very quick, easy access to the stuff in here, and then also inside the bag, I have the Big Brother.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to put the bag on the ground now. Yeah. This is like the larger original Peak Design tech pouch. And I carry lots of random stuff in here. I think I filled it with pickleball stuff so people could see. But like, I have Voltaren in here. I have deodorant. I have some cookies, toothpicks. I have a knife. I have got ibuprofen. Like this thing, and I could still put more in this thing if I wanted. So
no chomps and no muffins, huh?
It's funny. I actually want to go buy some chomps, or not chomps. Chomps would be fine too, but I wanted to go buy some small muffins to put in this for the review, and then just have some text that pops up that says, if you know, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would be really funny.
Oh, that'd be great.
But these things are awesome because they have these little hooks on them that work perfectly with the kitchen bag, and it attaches very tightly. Also, the color's like identical. So it matches the bag really well. And then even if you didn't want to put it inside the bag or on the outside of the bag on the hooks, this fits in the water bottle compartment. And most people aren't, I am assuming, most people aren't using both the compartments. So like you could toss it in there, and then you have basically like an extra large pocket for more organization. Also, what I like about putting this big one in the main compartment is if you have 4 paddles, this is my biggest gripe with the bag. If you have 4 paddles in the bag, those sleeves push into the like cavity area, and it's hard to like reach your hand down and grab. If you put this in there, it still fits with 4 paddles, and then the cavity, like it holds its shape better.
Yeah.
So you can reach down and grab what you want.
Yep.
So, I don't know, if you guys own a kitchen bag, I'll talk more about this in the full review, but if you own a kitchen bag, I'd highly recommend these Peak Design tech pouches. I'm sure you can find different ones on Amazon that are cheaper. I just really love the Peak Design ones. They're super high quality. They match the kitchen bag perfectly. Like, honestly, it matches the bag so well that I would believe Kitchen made it if I didn't know that.
Oh, totally.
Peak Design made these.
No, I really like those. I really like attaching it to the front too, because, and I like how the size of them, the height, because it still allows you to open the top compartment without it hindering or stopping it from opening, which is really nice. And I've actually been doing a similar thing, not with Peak Design pouches, but I actually have some of the ADV packing cubes, and I've been putting clothes in there when I go train and stuff, and it just slides right into that main compartment. Super nice. So I like this a lot. Yeah,
this works well. Obviously, like, I mean, you might be able to put like a shirt or two in like one of these, but there's like one thing I really like about this bag is that it's so modular. I think there's things like, I kind of wish you could take out some of the paddle sleeves if you're not using all four, because you'd have even more space in that main compartment. But I like that there's different ways to attach things. The magnets like give you a lot of like ways you can do things. So if you have one, check out the tech pouch from Peak Design, because I thought it worked really well and like solves one of my complaints with the bag.
Yeah, totally.
So cool. All right, moving on. I want to talk about foam core paddles.
Oh yeah, baby.
So Yola, they weren't the first to do a foam core. There were obviously paddles before that did this, like with varying success or whatever. It's always been kind of hit or miss. I feel like we haven't really seen a foam core paddle yet that didn't have like a consistent issue for the most part. And there's a new wave of them coming. So first one we have is the Olympus from Spartus. This is actually a really nice paddle. From my first impressions, and I think yours, like I'm pretty impressed with it. Would need more time, but
yeah.
The initial was like, okay, this is different. Like this is nice. So I'm kind of looking forward to hitting that more, but foam is definitely involved in the core of that.
Totally.
Then we have the Ace Heart. Have you seen the design of that yet?
I haven't.
Okay, I should have pulled up. Actually, I'll just pull it up on my phone really quick, and I'll show it to you so you can kind of see. Oh, do I not have it on my phone?
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I don't have it on my phone. Bummer. Anyways, basically just imagine the Yola Gen 3 core, but instead of the foam stopping at the side, it goes all the way down to the bottom.
Oh,
like
that's right. You were telling me about this.
It wraps the entire thing, and it's not a white foam, it's a black foam.
Yep.
So I presume it is a different type of foam, which does matter. One thing I think everyone in pickleball is guilty of, myself included, like I probably could have done a better job in this, or a better job of this in the past, is we've basically just assumed like, oh, all foams are the same. They're clearly not. I mean, the two biggest obvious examples are EVA foam and whatever foam we're using in the edges of paddles. Most of you haven't cut one of these open, but the foam in the edges is almost like it's kind of like a styrofoam. It's like a harder foam. You could crumble it.
Much denser.
Yeah, you could like crumble it if you wanted. EVAs, I believe, I guess I haven't like touched it myself, but from my understanding, it's a lot squishier, like more dense, maybe is the word. I don't know. But anyways, they're completely different types of foam. So obviously there's lots of different like makeups of foam you could do. So I'm curious what Ace did with this and if it's going to have any issues. But the one area that I'm super curious about is, since the foam wraps the entire thing, it cuts off the core at the neck. So I'm like, okay, are we going to have the same issue as the Hyperion? Like, what is the handle made of, and how is it connecting to the paddle?
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's thermoformed, that will should create a pretty strong neck area. Like, it's harder to snap, but
Right.
still just makes me wonder if that's going to be like a weak point on that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to play with it and see. I personally never snapped Hyperion just by playing with it, but I know a bunch of people have. So yeah. Do you know, is one on the way? Are we getting one soon?
I haven't asked him for one yet. I only just heard about it the other day, and since we have so many other paddles we have to get through, I don't like asking for it if I know I can't get to it for a minute.
That's fair.
Yeah. Also, I think on the website they were calling it like Gen 3.5, so I was like, oh man, here we go. I was like,
oh gosh,
I don't really know what would make it, if we're gonna go with like follow Yola's like naming thing here and call like, I mean, I think people have generally agreed that foam in the core is like kind of what we're calling Gen 3 or whatever. But like, what makes this Gen 3.5? Because it doesn't break like Gen 3, or like,
yeah, I know,
like
right?
what does that mean?
Yeah, I think that's dumb. I also disliked when Yola tried claiming that they're just like, yep, this is Gen 3, and that's the name of their paddle.
But see, I don't think they were doing it in the way that like we talk about it.
Right.
Like, they were just saying it was their third generation. Where it was weird to me is that they didn't call the generation before Gen 2.
Yeah.
So it felt like they were playing into the name, which is like, honestly, it's just a smart marketing move. If you know people are probably going to call it that, you know it's going to be a big deal.
Yep.
You basically like owned the name, like Gen 3.
Exactly. Yeah. Because now, anytime, say we decide that like, okay, yeah, this is the next wave of paddles. This is a Gen 3 design paddle. Now, anytime you say Gen 3, all people are going to think of is, oh, the Yolas that broke all the time.
Yeah.
That got
Maybe that's
banned.
why Ace is calling it Gen 3.5.
That could be.
They don't want the association.
Yeah.
Anyways, so curious to see that one. That one's a 14 millimeter. So is the Olympus. The Nexus Prostar that one's going to be interesting from the way I can see on the website. It looks like it's just built like a Core-Tech.
Okay.
I don't know that it actually is. Maybe they found a slightly different way to do it, but It looks like a Cortec, but with titanium face. So kind of like a Shogun or whatever, but I think it's blue.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I saw that. Yeah.
So I do have one of those on the way. I am curious to see how that one holds up. I also did have to laugh. I was looking at their website just to get more familiar with the brand because I don't know much about them, but it's like they're trying to be a bread and butter, which I just thought was kind of weird. So on the website, if you read their description, it says, introducing the Nexus Prostar, the revolutionary pickleball paddle that is out of this world. That's the first out of this world thing. The only paddle in the world featuring a true aerospace blue titanium 3K carbon fiber weave with polypropylene and foam injected core, giving it unparalleled strength and performance. Through teaming with extraterrestrials, we are able to offer this breakthrough technology, truly revolutionizing the pickleball landscape. We have perfected this technology through expert levels of engineering with our alien friends and using the highest quality materials available. Get ready to launch your pickleball game to otherworldly heights with the Nexus Prostar. And I'm like, okay, the titanium, because the Shogun. And then all the like out of this world like space things. I'm like people can do whatever they want, but I always just feel like if you're gonna do something similar to another company, you have to like do it better.
Yeah.
And to me, this just like as I was reading this, I was like, did Bread and Butter write this? I was like, it just felt weird. Like it didn't. I don't know. I'm sure there was no like ill intent, but I was just reading it, going, oh, like I don't know.
It definitely does remind me of Bread and Butter marketing. Yeah,
exactly. But like, I feel like Bread and Butter like leans into it a little funnier. I don't know. It was just kind of.
It almost seems like this. Like it
was trying to be serious and funny at the same time.
Exactly.
Where Bread and Butter, I feel like, just tries to be funny.
It's always funny. Like you know anything that comes out of Bread and Butter, if it seems silly or weird, you know it's 100% a joke. There's nothing that's serious about it. Yeah. Where this, it's like, are they trying to be serious or?
So we'll see. Joke? I'm curious to see if the paddle's good, if it holds up. I mean, literally with basically anything in this list, my ultimate question is like, does it hold up? Mm-hmm. Like, I have a feeling that manufacturers are slowly getting better at this, and I would imagine most of these companies wouldn't release it if they weren't pretty positive that it lasted, especially because I know some of these companies have spent extra time.
I think we're just going to have to deal with it like Gen 2, where Gen 2 paddles started coming out, and every company that made them, they all broke. And then they all started to fix it, and
I just don't want that problem because
neither do I, man. But unfortunately,
Gen 2 is still not perfected. It's so much better than it was.
So much better.
But I'm like, I don't know if we should introduce this unless we're really confident. But some of these companies have, I know, spent extra time with USIP being like, here's the material in here, ask us whatever questions you have, and USIP approved them. So I guess their USIP is fine with it. So well, I don't know.
So, okay, I'm curious. You bring that up. When is the carbon paddle coming out?
No one knows. No one knows. Gosh. We all wish we knew.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like I remember hearing January, February, then it was like spring.
Yeah, I thought I heard a date that I was like, okay, I'm waiting for it. It's gonna come out then, and then nope.
Yeah, I have no idea.
We'll
see when it comes.
Yeah,
but then obviously the Gearbox Pro Ultimate that has foam in it, but it's not a surprise. The Yola Mod TA-15, same thing as basically the Yola Gen 3, but probably a little less foam.
Just less
foam,
I
guess. And then I know there are other companies working on foam cores. So long story short, get ready for a wave of foam core paddles. Whether they will be good and reliable, don't know.
My biggest thing right now is because we've had such a hard time with foam core paddles. Gen 3, everyone's like, they're breaking, blah, blah, they get banned. Everyone's like gets cautious when they hear
for sure
paddle, which makes sense. Like,
I would
rightfully
be too.
So. But I've had such a difficult time explaining to people when, I think this paddle is going to be great. And then they say, why is it different? And I say, there's foam in the core. And they go, well, is it just going to get banned or blah, blah, blah. And I have to explain like, no, it's not. And no one, it's so
hard to explain.
It's so hard to explain.
The entire market, maybe not entire market, but lots of areas of it are just like in shambles. Like foam cores are a great example. It's like, I feel like when we go to review these, we're going to have to do extra thorough testing than normal. We're already thorough, but you have to do even more just to see, does it break? Like the gearbox, I'm going to have to use this for quite a while because I know that how it plays out of the box is not going to be what it is in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, well, it's almost pointless talking about it for the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
Obviously, I'll cover that, but what you really want is after the 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's kind of annoying.
that's foam core paddles. Last thing in the news here is Kansas PPA.
Yes.
So
Kansas City.
You're leaving tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm leaving on Wednesday. I wasn't going to play. We were going anyways because Sarah's family lives in Kansas. So, like, regardless, we were going. But just after Newport and, like, the move, I've just been really tired. Actually, I forgot to mention, if you guys couldn't tell, I sound extra nasally this week. I'm getting over being sick, probably from working on the house too much. But, yeah, so I wasn't going to play. And then I was like, well, I'm going to go watch. And the tickets to go, probably the amount of days I'm going to go, are going to be the same as if I just played as a player and then got to go every day.
Yep.
So I'm only doing singles, doing 4 or 5 singles. We'll see how it goes. I don't anticipate doing well at all. But
Come on.
I have not played any singles since Newport. But you're playing the qualifier and 5-0.
Yep. I'm doing the qualifier. I'm doing 5-0 men's and 5-0 singles. So I don't know. Hopefully the qualifier goes well and I don't have to play 5-0 men's, but not banking on that. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
I did tell you if you made it to the main draw, you can be the host for 1 week.
Let's go. Let's go. So yeah, I'm really excited. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Got some fun partners lined up, and then singles, not really that looking forward to it because Kansas City and the venue has just about zero shade, and the weather looks like it sucks. I mean, there's already pros complaining about the weather down there.
Yeah, let me see here.
From MLP.
What's the weather in Overland Park, Kansas? 80. It's 88 right now, and it's only 11 a.m.
11 o'clock, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Today it'll be 97. Actually, it's actually going to be better than I thought. It's going to be like...
Isn't it still 90s
no,
plus?
80s.
80s?
Low to
it must have changed.
mid-80s, yeah. It changed a bit.
Dang.
That's a little better.
Yeah, because last time I checked, I thought I saw it was like 95 plus every day, and then there's one day that was over 100, and I'm like, look, I did this last year.
Yeah.
I played singles and passed out after my third match.
Yeah.
All right? I don't need to do that again.
Yeah,
so, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing, but not looking forward to the weather, so it'll be fun. I'm excited. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. If you see us, feel free to come say hi. I will probably for sure be there Friday and Saturday. The other days I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yep.
But yeah, if you see either of us, definitely come say hi.
Yeah, like I said, I'm driving down Tuesday morning, so I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and if I'm looking to get some practice reps in the evening, so I don't know, reach out to me on Instagram or something if somebody 50 plus or higher wants to get some reps in.
Cool. All right, well, we'll go on to the Chill with Will segment.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back in a minute.
All right.
All right, welcome to the first Chill with Will.
I like that.
Someone in the comments came up with that idea, and the second I saw that, I was like, first of all, that feels like it should have been obvious, but second, that is amazing, and we are going to use that. So shout out to the guy who commented that.
Are you going to make a little jingle for it or something? You should just record something and just remix it or something, get somebody to...
I'm thinking the sound of me body bagging you would do.
Has that ever happened though?
Like I'll body bag you with a Batman, and then it'll just be you on the ground going, no. I think that'll do.
I don't think that's ever going to happen unless I let you do that to me.
Well,
do you even have the skills to do a Batman? That is clearly, a 4-5 plus skill. We all know your duper rating.
After getting a house, I think my duper might have just skyrocketed. I entered a new territory of life. It's related. Okay. I promise. It's related. It's kind of like...
I guess...
Go ahead.
Just wait until... What was the joke again? Wait until you have a few kids or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Getting your first house is like having your first kid. You get a duper boost.
Okay. Gotcha.
But anyways, how you been, man? How was your week?
It's been good. I've been playing a ton of pickleball. I think more pickleball than I played, I don't know, all summer. It feels like it's been every day. I've done like 2 a days every single day. That's what it feels like.
Holy cow. How's your body doing?
My body is good, except I did hit my knee really hard today on like a return. Like they served
the
it.
Paddle to the knee?
Yeah, like the paddle to the knee. They basically jammed me. It was hit like right at my feet essentially, and I was swinging hard back at it, and basically I couldn't get my leg out of the way, so I hit the back of my knee, and it's very sore right now. Yeah,
crazy. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and yes, but other than that, I've been good. Like I've been stoked, and obviously I've been just trying to get my touch for pickleball back because I haven't played pickleball in so long. So, my drops and my resets are just going like way high, and I'm just thinking to myself, dang, was I always this bad? Like, is this? I was like, this is what it feels like to be Chris.
You got you got some fresh perspective after being in Cambodia. You came back and you're like, wow, is this how everyone sees my game?
Okay, because I haven't done a drop or a reset in what I've been playing tennis and badminton. You know what I mean? So
smack the
obviously
ball.
you don't. Yeah, you just smack the ball, and then in badminton you just clear the shuttlecock, so you just like hit it super high and far. Even in badminton though, I couldn't clear the freaking shuttlecock like deep. It was just like perfectly, I don't know, right in the middle of the court, and everybody I played against, they're jumping up in the air and it looks like they're dunking a basketball, except it's a racket and a shuttlecock at me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting posterized by a shuttlecock. Like this is not good.
That's so funny.
So yeah, I've been hitting, I think oh my gosh, let me tell you, I finally unboxed everything. I also recorded like a pretty large unboxing video. I think it's probably going to be at least like 30 minutes, 40
Holy
minutes.
moly, that is a big unboxing.
Many paddles. So yeah, in this segment, I'm really just going to be talking about kind of the paddles I've been hitting, things that kind of stand out because I had to catch up, and plus I had to do more hitting because I'm like, is this paddle good or I'm just bad right now? You know what I mean? Like I
have
didn't
to get your feel back for how reviewing a paddle.
Exactly. But before that though, I want to address, I guess, my break and involvement on the pod. I am kind of taking a break. You'll still see me. I'll do little segments like this here and there when things interest me, but I'm kind of taking this break obviously to focus on my channel and growing that to where I think it should be, but also I'm taking this time now to focus on helping my local community out more with pickleball. Like I'm trying to run a league. I might do some clinics or lessons. I really just want, I think the players in my community to just become better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are people here that are like getting really good, but they're just missing just a few things. And if they don't get a chance to play with some higher level players, it's like those are things that are hard to kind of pick up and do. So that's why I'm running the league. I want to try to do clinics because some of these players are very close. Like, they have the skills, they have the athleticism, or they played for a while, but they're just missing just a few things to kind of take their game really to the next level, and also experience playing with higher level players, because I think in my community here, at least in Tulsa, there's only like a handful of, I would say 5-0 like plus players. You know what I mean?
Well, and I feel like it's good you're doing that because there are definitely people in my local area who are those people that either work on making those things happen or like set up different groups, particularly for people that they feel are kind of like up and coming. And I feel like when I've been in those groups, I appreciate it. Not just because like, oh, I get to play with better players or whatever, but even just for the sake of someone is willing to organize it and I'm not the one who has to put it together. So I feel like you doing that in your area is I think very cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what's been, I think, like speaking to me. It's just been on my mind. I've been thinking about it a lot. So I'm like, okay, if I'm thinking about it a lot, this like, where focus goes, energy should flow type of thing. So that's what I'm kind of doing.
And I feel like that fits into, when you've talked about basically what your goal with pickleball is and like spreading the joy of pickleball. And I feel like that fits into that, especially in your local area, right? Like your local area always hits a little bit different than just making content online. That is a part of it. Like I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, but it's always nice seeing it face to face.
Right, exactly. And pickleball's like growing here. Like literally in like the week that I came back, right? So much development in pickleball is happening. So basically there is, I think, 2 other facilities that are like going to be opening up, or like they broke ground, they're building, right? Also my once like local public court, it used to only have 4 courts, and then there's like 3 and then 1 in the 2 different rows, right? And then there's like a half basketball court in there, and it just felt kind of odd. So they turned that half basketball court into 2 more. So now we have 6. And then there was also 2 large tennis courts behind us, and they resurfaced like 1 tennis court back there. I don't know if they put pickleball lines there as well. And then they're just shifting things around. And then there's also another park that just finished that is called McClure, I think, has 6 courts. And then near my house, there was like a row of, I want to say like 6 to 8 tennis courts, and they converted 2 of them into 8 dedicated pickleball courts. So it's like it all happened like within the span of like a week or something when I got back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, there's a lot happening right here. And so I just feel like now is the right time to kind of do that. And now I've also been plugging myself more into some of the other groups that play here, just to get to know them better and stuff. And it's been feeling good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've been happy with that involvement so far. And of course, this league idea. Did I tell you about this league idea I had? How I'm going to do it?
No.
Or it's kind of, I'm going to call it like the gauntlet. And it's going to be an opportunity for like you said, up and coming players to kind of play into it, but you have to play for your spot in the gauntlet. So basically there's the gauntlet, and then I'm calling it like the bench, and you play that week. This is the idea. You play that week, and depending on your performance or differential in points or wins or what have you, the bottom 2 to 4, I'm not sure how many, gets put on the bench, and the next up on the queue in the bench get to play in the following league, and then you get to play for your spot for the following week. And then the bench also acts as kind of like a sub, like, if somebody during the week can't go, then I have essentially a sub list, and then I get to kind of revolve and like invite people to play and be on the bench. You know what I'm saying? So something like that. I want it to be outward facing too, so you can like go to a website and you can see your current standings from any week. So things like that. I'm trying to like just gamify things a bit to get some, I guess, competition or like the competition mindset.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you don't want to be on the bench.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to be on the bench. Yeah. Chris,
Cool.
you wouldn't even make the bench. You know what I'm saying? You'd be
I'd be top of that court.
You'd be outside the facility looking in through the window.
You got to tell people,
when can I get in there?
You got to tell people every time they body bag you with a Batman, immediately they can't go to the bench.
It's funny. I'm gonna do some. I think I'm gonna like do some scenarios. Like, I think if you get pickled or something, whatever court you're on, if you're the top court, you're immediately going to the bench or something. Like, something like that. There has to be something. Or you get nasty Nelson or something that's like you're safe from the bench or something. Yeah, I think it would be actually kind of funny. Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah, so I'm working on that right now, and we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys posted, of course, in the next segment of Chill with Will, if and when that gets, moving. So that's that. Next thing I want to say is, have you ever had? I'm sure this has happened to you, probably a lot more than it has happened to me. People that you were friends with beforehand, right? Before pickleball, okay? And then somehow they get into pickleball, or maybe they meet somebody and then they find your channel. They didn't even ask you, but they find you. Like, yo, wait, you're the pickleball studio, dude. You're big, like, And they reach out to you. You haven't heard from them in ages. Has that ever happened to you?
I don't know if I've had it exactly happen where they find pickleball studio and then reach out. But a lot of times, what happens is people I know go and play pickleball somewhere with some random person. Somehow I get brought up. Like, most of the time, it doesn't even make sense how I get brought up, but somehow it happens. And then that person's like, wait, Chris Olsen, like, I used to watch all of his speed cubing stuff. He's into pickleball? That's usually how it happens. And then people, I might get a message after that, like, dude, I ran into so-and-so, and they told me you were doing pickleball. So that type of stuff happens.
It's funny because, your identity to me is the pickleball studio. Like, I don't know you as anybody else. So remember the other day I was calling you to ask for some editing help for this software, for this plugin, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And basically you didn't pick up, and I was like, man, this Chris guy is freaking useless. Let's just go YouTube it. Somebody on YouTube has gotten, shown a tutorial or something. So I go to search this very specific issue and problem, and guess what shows up? Your freaking face in your old editing channel shows up on my feed. It's like how to use Watchtower and Adobe Premiere, and then it's you in your old, I don't know, YouTube
I think
channel.
I'm just destined to be a YouTuber because now we're on channel number 3. We had the speed cubing one, we had the Premiere Pro / video editing one, and now we're on this. And I'm like,
yeah,
It is funny. I've had a couple pickleball people be like, dude, I was trying to learn how to edit this thing, and then I randomly found a video of you. I didn't even know you used to do this.
Yes, no, it's so funny. Yeah, you should have just told them, it's like, oh, that's not me, that's my twin brother, you know. That's the fourth lost brother. We don't talk about him anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny.
So that's funny. Anyways, I brought that up because that happened to me very recently. Shout out to my buddy Andrew Tran. We went to college together. I talked to this guy maybe like once a year, maybe once every other year. And recently when I was in Cambodia, he was in Vietnam, and I saw him like on his social media. So I just messaged him, like, hey man, if you have time, come down to Cambodia. I don't know if I'm gonna make it to Vietnam, but we should chill, hang out. I haven't seen you in a while. He never got back to me. Or, I mean, like he said, yeah, man, that's cool. I don't know if I can or whatever. And then we didn't chat. And then we came back to the States, and then he calls me and he's like, bro, he's like, I just had to call you because I came back and I was like, you know what? I really want to meet some Asian people like right now, because I think he just came back from Asia or whatever, and then his town, like, he doesn't have a lot of diversity, I guess. And so he meets this other girl who's Vietnamese or whatever, and then he just, small talk or whatever, and apparently she's super into pickleball. And then he was like, oh dude, my boy Will, like, he's into pickle, he has his channel and stuff. And then he showed her, and she was like, what, pickleball Will? And then he was like, whoa, like he was taken aback. And then he had to call me to tell me that story. I think her name is Havo Lee from Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Havo, shout outs to you, shout outs for you following us, following the pod. That was just funny. And so I don't know, when I get that, I always find that just hilarious. Or other people who just get into pickleball and they just find the channel, like, they hit me up. One of the dudes hit me up. His name is Jeffrey Seichung. He's like, hey, Will, I don't know if you remember me, but I think we've been to a few parties and stuff together when we were back in Northern Virginia, and we have a bunch of mutual friends. But his wife plays a lot of he plays pickleball too, but his wife said that she got to play with my paddle, and she's trying to buy it. Oh, funny. And of course she can't buy it. So he asked me if I had an extra one. I was like, yeah, bro, I have one, basically the one that's already beat up, and I have one more. So I shipped it to him or whatever. I think he was pretty stoked. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyways, okay, before I move on and talk about some of these paddles that I've hit with, things that I found interesting, I want to ask you a question, Chris.
Sure.
Okay.
Hit me.
And I feel like I already know the answer because you're really nice. Okay. But if you were friends with somebody before, right? And then you play pickleball with them, and they're trash. Like they're like 1.0, right? Can't even, like, they're missing whiffing balls or whatever. I'm going to assume that you'd still be friends with them, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, now if you meet somebody new, you play pickleball with them, and they're trash, absolute garbage. Like, how likely is it that a friendship will blossom from that moment?
Probably, I mean, depending on how bad we're talking, if we're talking like 2-5, probably very unlikely, but I guess it heavily depends on how we met. Like if me meeting you was just my experience with you on the court and I don't know anything about you, I'm probably not.
Dang. Okay. All right. Well, guys, there you have it. You heard it here first. If you want to be Chris's friend, don't be bad at pickleball. Okay? Don't be bad. You better train, okay? You better train. You better become better than 3-5. Actually, once you become better than 3-5, you're already better than Chris. He's going to want to be your friend. That's what's going to happen. Okay? That's what's about to happen. Okay. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thought. Somebody asked me some similar question like that, but like with basketball or something. I never thought about it like that.
No, it is funny how that works.
Yeah, it is.
But again, I think it just goes back to, like, if I met the person, got to know them, then played pickleball with them, it'd probably be different, right? Like if I got to know who they are and I liked being around them, then it doesn't really matter, because now you're like playing pickleball with them because like you're just hanging out or whatever. Yeah. But if I show up to an open rec play and that happened, I'd probably be like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna try and get another game or something.
That's true. Also, do you ever feel like you've been catfished in pickleball? Like you go, somebody invites you to a game, it's like, yo, I'm bringing this new person, they're super good or whatever, you go, and then like they're not as good, or like they're not good at all, or maybe sometimes they're like way better than everybody ever said. Have you ever had that happen to you?
I don't think so, but maybe there's like a random scenario that I'm just not thinking of.
Okay, well, this kind of happened to me when I came back. Okay, I got a few like high level games in with this guy named Tom Protzek. I don't even remember, but he's like from Germany. Okay, and he plays soccer for one of the universities here. Okay, and before I left to Cambodia, you know, it's funny. Him and his friend hit me up on your Discord.
Funny.
Yeah, maybe they messaged you. And they're like, hey, man, does Will live in Tulsa or whatever? I'm trying to get some high-level games with my buddies here.
I think I do remember that. Yep.
You remember this? Okay, so I talked to him, okay? And I just remember he was, he's a young kid. He's just super eager. And he's like, hey, man, I really want to play in the OPPL league. I think, it'd be a great addition, this and that. I played in some tournaments in, like, New Mexico, and I won that. And, like, he was just, I don't know, he was coming off, to me, in my eyes, he was coming off a little strong. I was like, whoa. Hold your roll, bro. Like, we got to vet you first, first.
Okay.
Like, he wanted to, like, be introduced to, like, Chris Hayworth and, like, Jenna,
sure.
who, like, run OPPL. And I was like, okay, let's relax just a second. I need to see how good you really are. But I was like, I'm going to be gone. So I was like, hit up my boy Mo, because Mo knows everybody. And then Mo will be a good, I guess, a litmus test. Okay?
Yeah.
So he did end up playing with Mo, and then I think I saw like photos, and he did end up playing with like all the top players from OKC or whatever. And I came back, and everybody was like, yo, he's actually really good. And I'm like, really? Is he really that good? And let's go play with him. Bro, this guy's a monster, and he's only been playing for like, I don't know, 3-4 months. I just heard, he just told me that he came back from, I forgot what was the last PPA or APP tournament, but he played singles 5-0 and he played doubles too. But he played the bronze medal match against Kyle Yates.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, what? You played against Kyle Yates? What the heck?
Shoot.
So,
I see why you asked that question now.
Right, exactly. Because I was like, very rarely has it happened where people are like, oh, do you need to play with this person? This person's, 5-0 or something, right? And I go play them. I was like, nah, this person's more like 4-5. Or
Sure.
maybe my standards are just different from most other people. I don't know.
Well, now your eyes have been open now that you're back from Cambodia and you see the level of play you're actually at.
Yes. Okay. But here's the thing, right? When people ask you that, and because you and me, our experiences are different, right? We are lucky enough to have played with and against, pros like Zane, Ben Johns, like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So kind of like when people say, oh, they're good, my definition of good is just different now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure,
So
for sure.
I need to change it a little bit. Anyways, that's just another little story there for you. So like I said, when I came back, pickleball is just booming over here. I'm just
That's
like,
great.
whoa.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. No, I love it too. Anyways, all right, moving on. I'm going to talk about some paddles that I hit. Okay. Sure. And let's first go over the Ultimate, the Gearbox Pro Ultimate. You've hit this paddle, right? Did you do a review on this?
I haven't done a review. I'm working on my review of it.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
So tonight, I literally just started setting it up exactly how I want it. I played it completely stock. I started breaking it in because I'm sure it's going to be just like the Pro Power. Yes. It's going to break in. It's going to change. So I wanted to play it stock, make sure I understood how it played when people get it out of the box. Now that I kind of am aware of this, now I'm setting it up, and I might even play Kansas singles with it just so I can break it in more and get through the review. But initially when I got it, I was extremely underwhelmed. Like, everyone was raving about the sweet spot, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so big. Like, it's like a perfect blend. And to me, I was like, bro, I actually felt that it was worse than the Pro Power, but I was like, okay, I am willing to understand that this is probably going to change because I remember that happening to the Pro Power. And I do feel like it's been getting better as I've used it more. But like a Gen 2 Thermo is still better than this.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little underwhelmed. I thought it was fine. The sweet spot, like, basically it just didn't feel as stable, so it definitely needs some perimeter weighting. But like the feel of it felt good right off the bat, I thought. I still think I prefer the Pro Power or even like the Pro Control over it. Felt fairly light to me. I mean, it was good. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, when you're comparing it to the Pro Power and Pro Control, which I think are just still, in my opinion, better. But I also haven't, I guess, broken it in yet. But playing with it stock, I was like, I was a little underwhelmed with it, to be quite honest. So
I'm trying to reserve my full judgment until I hit that point, because I know the Pro Power was, when it wasn't broken in, it was like, okay, yeah, cool, nice paddle. But then like when it breaks in, you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. So I'm kind of anticipating the same thing with this, but it still has the issues of like, it's only one shape. The swing weight and balance point are really high. Actually, I think the balance point, when I measured it tonight, was literally the highest balance point I've ever measured. Now, I haven't measured every paddle I've ever done. That's more of a recent thing for me, but it's definitely high up there. So to me, I'm like, okay, the paddle just gets kind of niche. You have to be able to deal with that smaller sweet spot. You have to like the gearbox feel. You have to be willing to go through the break-in. You have to be able to swing a heavier paddle. Like, all these things, and I just start going like, who is this for? And ultimately right now I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be for people who love the Pro Power, but just wanted it toned down and a slightly larger sweet spot, assuming it does get better.
Right. But like, if you wanted to tone down Pro Power, couldn't you also get the Pro Control? I feel like the Pro Control still hits kind of hard as well.
Yeah, it definitely it can still hit hard when broken in. I'd be curious to see, and one thing I want to try and do, we'll see if I have the time to use that one even more again, because I don't know how much time I want to spend on this review, but the structure of the Pro Control and the Ultimate is going to be different. So I feel like the Ultimate probably is going to be the better blend between the Pro Control and the Pro Power, but I'll just have to wait and see. Like, I'm kind of just guessing because I know the Ultimate is built more like a Pro Power. Like, the core structure is different between the Pro Power and the Control. So we'll see. But yeah, like out of the box, I was like, yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, same. Okay, all right. Moving on to Reload. I know you did a full video review on this, which I have not watched yet because I was trying to, reserve my own judgment. So I need to test it a little bit more. But as the paddle plays, as it is, it's, to me, very like average, like, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I don't think the paddle is like bad, but I also don't think it's like that exceptional. And so the really thing that's carrying it is the tech of peeling it off and applying a new, I guess, face sheet. Are they calling it something specific? It's like,
I mean, as far as I believe, they just call it a sheet, like a face sheet.
Okay. I felt that the face sheet was not also necessarily that gritty as well. Do you have RPM numbers?
Yeah, for me it was like 19. I did two paddles. It was like 1920 something and 1970 RPM. Okay. So for me, that's like, very respectable. Like, top tier is like 2100 for me, and paddles don't break that often. So like 1900 is acceptable.
Yeah, that's like that's A tier, like bottom. Somewhere. I would say that's probably like A tier, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's plenty. You're probably not gonna be complaining about spin.
Yeah. Did you? How long did it take until you like peeled off and like replaced a sheet? Was it the same amount of time as like replacement time as regular paddles that are maybe from, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months or so? Or
our video was a first look, so we didn't like cycle an entire set of sheets. We basically did I think mine was just one play session. Isaac had a few under his belt, and then we're probably going to do a full review later down the road depending on the level of interest. The interest was a little bit lower than I thought, so maybe we'll change our minds on that, but we'll see. But anyways, we have a bunch of face sheets, and we've like peeled the same one on and off like 50 times, and it still sticks right back down. But in terms of grit, like when you would actually replace it, I think it's just whenever someone's like, yeah, I feel like I don't get enough spin, which I anticipate is going to be about whatever you're used to with other paddles. Like, if it's a month for you, probably going to be a month for this. If it's 3 months, then probably 3 months for Reload.
Okay. All right.
But I do agree. Like, the paddle is like fine. It's just like a Gen 2 thermoformed all court paddle that like
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything crazy, but like it's solid enough. Like pretty much what you said, I agree with. Like the idea is carrying it, and if they can implement that into paddles for different segments of the market that are more interesting, then they've got like a real winner on their hand.
Right. All right. I do like the blue and the orange.
Yeah,
of
I think it
does
stands
look
out.
different.
It looks good.
It stands out. It does. Okay. All right. Next up, Mod TA, the Yola. Am I saying that right? From Yola?
Yeah,
Mod
Yola
TA?
Mod TA-15, I believe.
Why?
Dude,
Are
who
they
knows?
calling
I
it-
think it was a prototype name, and it got approved under that name, so I think they had to use the same name to like re-release it to the public.
Okay, so I want to know, because I didn't get one. I know you bought one, but somebody here at my courts, they bought one, and they literally, when I took that photo, I literally played with it today. They literally got it last night, and they brought it here for us to play in the morning, and I got to dink around with a bit and hit a few drives with it, and to me, it feels about the same. Have you hit with it? Did you receive yours yet or no?
No, mine comes tomorrow, but it's been extremely polarizing. People in Discord are like, yeah, it definitely does not hit as hard as the Yola. Other people are like, I've used it for a little bit. Now I feel like it's pretty similar. The biggest thing that's been consistent is that everyone says the grit is toned down quite a bit, which makes sense because almost certainly the grit on the previous ones were too high. So it makes sense that it would have to be toned down. So don't expect the spin to be as crazy. But yeah, I think the reason the power claim is so polarizing is honestly, my guess is we're going to have the same core crushing issue because their Gen 2s did it. The Gen 3 did it. People started seeing that very early on. And there's no way like a month or 2 months later, maybe 3 months at this point, that they magically fixed that part of their QC and now doesn't have that. So when people are telling me, yeah, it got hotter after a few playing, I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to core crush very quickly.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It felt the same to me. Maybe it wasn't as hot on the drives, but like you said, I only got to hit a few balls with it, and who knows what's going to happen, after a few play sessions. And I'll probably double check with my buddy Eric. He's the one who bought it because he hits very hard. He's probably one of the harder hitters here in Tulsa that I know. So I'll report back to you guys on that. I don't know if I'm going to get one. So did you bought it? They didn't send it to you.
Yeah, I don't
right?
think they sent any out. I didn't hear anything from them, and I was like, well, if they didn't say anything, then like I'll just go buy it myself.
Was it offered in multiple shapes, like the same shapes?
No, it's literally just the Perseus. 16, 14, that's it.
Oh, man. So, all right. And my next question is, do you know the people who were dissatisfied with the Gen 3s when they got banned, can they return and exchange it for the Mod TA or no?
I don't know 100% certain, but I feel like I've heard reports of people doing that, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% positive.
Gotcha. I mean, it would make sense if you could do that.
Yeah.
And I guess we haven't heard any more news about the lawsuit or anything, have we?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Next up, I'll quickly give a shout out to Honolulu Pickleball with the J3K and J7K. I got to play with that. And of course, everybody's been raving about the J2K, which is a good paddle. I'm working on a video of my top all court paddles, and that definitely made the list. I'm not sure where in the rankings, but I knew that the J3K would be very good because I really like just the regular J3. I wasn't sure about the J7, but I played with it, and the J7 is also very good. It's very interesting because it looks longer than an elongated paddle. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but it also has that same still like fat throat around the handle. So it's like it's not as comfortable to get two hands on it.
Sure.
But it plays very well. I don't know if you've had time with it, but
J7K I haven't hit at all yet.
No? Okay. Well, the J3K is really good. I think that's probably my favorite shape of the bunch. And yeah, they were just solid. Not much else to say about that. Okay. But Chris, this is the most exciting thing. Okay. This is literally the best paddle I think I've ever received from a company. Okay.
Hit me.
You want to take a guess on who it's from? Well, you kind of know. I kind of told you.
You did kind of tell me about it, so I do know. But the audience does not know.
No, the audience does not know. All right, guys. This paddle made my most like unique paddle list video that I released not too long ago, but it's from the Big Wood. Okay, and check this out. Let me see if you can see this shirt on my screen, but they're all wooden paddle, and this is my face on this side, and on the other side, it's Chris. Oh my god, the face that they chose for it is hilarious.
That face is really funny to me. I can't believe they put our faces on the paddle. It looks really good on the paddle though. Like the design, the way it's done is really nice.
Yes, I mean, because I mentioned it in my video. I was like, Forrest, I think it's really cool. It's a missed opportunity for you to like, laser etch or however he did this, someone's faces into it. And if anything, like, he should make this like a feature or an add-on or something. Like if you want to get like, so people can gift it, like, maybe they can get their dog's face on their paddle or something, but now that I got this, I don't know, this paddle might get a full review. I just want to know, whose face hits harder. You think it's yours, Chris, or mine? Which face do you think gets more RPM? Guys, let me know in the comments whose face would get more RPM, hits hard. Actually, you know what? Your face is probably better for resets. Okay, that's all I have to say. Okay, it's really nice and probably soft. When the ball hits, it just kind of like mushes in and just it's probably a perfect resetting face.
You'll have to let me know.
I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, I'll let you know.
That's so funny.
I don't know how the RPMs are going to be looking. Oh, whose face do you think gets more spin?
Dude, that's a good question. Probably whichever one got etched more, whichever one created deeper grooves.
Honestly, when I touch it, it's not that deep of grooves, to be quite honest with you. It feels like normal. It feels like the rest of the paddle face, but
you got to frame that or something.
I know, but I got to hit with it first.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
This is going up somewhere, like in my studio somewhere. This is the best paddle I think I've ever received, for sure. Like hands down. I don't even know how he got your face. Like, what is this from?
I'm almost positive it's a thumbnail, but it's just so funny to me. Like,
it's so good.
That's really funny. I love it. Well, shout out to them for doing that. That's absolutely hilarious.
Shout outs to Forrest and Big Wood Sporting Goods. You go check out their website. I think if you wanted to purchase a paddle, I think my code does work for them because the paddles are kind of pricey, but it's like an all wood paddle, and like the core is wood as well, but it's really light. They CNC machined like honeycomb into the core, and it also kind of slaps. Like it actually hits pretty hard. I was very, very surprised with it, and it actually got pretty decent spin as well, surprisingly, because like there's some texture on it. I mean, it feels like wood, you know what I'm saying? And this wood has some texture on it, but for the most part, I mean, compared to raw carbon fiber, epoxy resin that we're used to, it feels kind of smooth. Funny enough, I feel like there's some paddles out there that have raw carbon fiber faces that feel smoother than the face of this. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and that's about it in the section of Chill with Will. Hopefully you guys got an update on what I'm thinking and what I'm doing, what I'm up to. This won't be the last you guys see of me.
Yeah,
all right, sure. So I ain't going nowhere. Okay. Yeah. The true host will return.
This guy goes down to a segment and he still thinks he's the host. You guys got to let him know. You got to put this guy in his place.
Oh, please do. Let me know down in the comments. Nothing makes Chris more than hearing the banter and the shots fired.
I love it. Well, I feel like this is a good way to start the Chill with Will. We got the name figured out. We got it demoed, and you just let me know when you're going to be back.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to be back for the 100th episode, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
In August. Yeah. No, I'm coming to visit you. We're going to shoot it. Exactly. We're going to shoot it in person. It's gonna be a good time. I get to see the house.
Yeah.
And we get to play some pickleball, of course. And I guess we should do something special, Chris. We need to brainstorm and think about it. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, what should it be? Like, what should the topic be? Should we get questions from you guys, from the audience? Like,
Definitely some
what do you guys
questions
want?
for sure. That'll be part of it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We'll figure it out.
Cool.
All right, man.
All right. Well, we'll hop back to the main topic here. We'll catch you guys later. Actually, we'll catch Will later. We won't catch the audience later. I'll see you guys in like 2 seconds.
All right. Later, guys. Have a great rest of the episode. Peace.
All right, we are back. Now we got our main topic.
Yeah.
This was a viewer question. I completely forgot to check who sent this in because it was on Instagram, but I thought it was a good question because I've had people ask this before, and I just never thought to cover it more thoroughly. But one thing we've said a few times on the pod, one of the best ways to improve at pickleball, or at least realize that you're not as good as you think you are, is to film yourself playing some games.
Yeah.
I pretty much promise you, if you're not 5.0 plus, and even if you're 5.0 plus, you'll probably still experience this.
Yep.
You're going to film yourself. You think you look one way.
Be ready to be humbled.
Yeah. You do not look as cool as you think you do.
Exactly.
The amount of time I have filmed, I mean, you and I and a bunch of other of our friends have filmed each other so much because
That's what we
what
do.
I do for a job. But every time you're just like, do I really look like this?
Yep.
So it's the exact reason that everyone in YouTube comments of people playing pickleball always go, this isn't 4.0, this isn't 4.5, this isn't pro.
All of the people that comment, oh, in my area, this would be 3.5 or whatever. No. You've just never watched yourself play. Okay? So record yourself playing a couple games, watch yourself back, and you'll realize your volleys, your hands, and overheads are not as good as you think.
So we're going to go over just how to film yourself, like what equipment do you need, how can you do it, what are some best practices. So we'll go over that now. So first, I would just recommend you guys use your phone.
100%.
A smartphone, everyone, I would say at this point, has a smartphone that is good enough. If you have a smartphone within the last 5 years.
I was just about to say, last 5 years, smartphone cameras are good enough.
Yeah, you do not need like a GoPro. You don't need a dedicated camera.
Nope.
Just use your phone.
It's just easier that way.
Yeah, whether you're filming your games or you're just filming some drilling, a phone will work fine. Like, honestly, guys, a lot of times when I'm filming gameplay for the channel, I'm just using an iPhone. Mm-hmm. Like, I do occasionally use our nicer cameras if I'm doing like 2 angles. Hang on 1 second. But most of the time I just use an iPhone because it's convenient, it's easy, not hard to set up. It's very easy.
Don't have
use.
to think about it.
Yeah, you don't have to think about it. So iPhone, Android, doesn't matter. Phone in the last 5 years, you're probably fine.
Yep.
Next up is how to use, actually, let's talk about the tripod.
Yeah.
So I'll leave some links in the description. There's like 2 types of phone tripods. I have one that collapses really small and is a little less sturdy, but then there's a slightly bigger one. Still fits in a pickleball bag, but it's a little more sturdy because the legs are bigger. So I'll leave those linked in the description. There will be a picture on screen.
Or if your venue or wherever you're recording accommodates it, there are some good fence mounts. I know a lot of people who use fence mounted or just fence mounts for phones.
Yeah.
And those work great too. If your courts.
Can't put it. Usually, if it really can't fit, but I find that besides tournaments is a different story because there's so many courts and so many people.
Yep.
But a lot of times, if you have individually fenced courts, you can just put the phone tripod in the corner and it's like totally out of the way.
Totally fine.
So with just one of those phone tripods, they're like $15-$20. They're super easy to use. I use one all the time. So just pick one of those up.
Yep.
Best angle of the court is if you're going to film games, I recommend in a corner.
Yeah.
And I'd also recommend not using the super wide angle lens if you're on an iPhone.
Yep.
A lot of times it will show the whole court, but a lot of times it's too wide.
Yeah.
So if you set it to like the 1x lens, it might cut off the baseline a little bit, but most of the time you don't really need to see the baseline.
Only iPhone people are knowing what you're talking about right now.
Yeah. Basically just use the default lens and it'll be fine. It cuts off the baseline. Doesn't matter because most of the plays at the kitchen anyways.
Yep. If your courts are big enough, there's some places that are big enough where you can scoot it back in the corner and you can see the whole court. But most public courts are a little bit tighter. So typically just focus on getting the kitchen in the center of your frame, and the baseline on the close side is going to be a little cut off, but it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you can also try like directly behind, like lined up with the middle of the court, but I find it's harder to see what your opponents were doing. Sometimes it's harder to see what you were doing in the moment. So a corner you kind of just get all the best of all the worlds.
Yes.
If you do it that way.
Yep.
Next up would be how to use your phone to film. I can't speak to Androids because I don't have an Android, but honestly, it's probably going to be the exact same across the board. So first, we'll talk about frame rates.
Yeah.
Most phones, actually, pretty much every phone in the last 5 years, I'd be shocked if there's even one that's not like a $50 phone. But you have 24 frames a second you can film in, 30 or 60. I would recommend you use 60 if you have at a minimum 30.
Minimum 30.
Hang on a sec. Minimum 30 FPS because it's just going to be smoother. 60 is a little bit better, but honestly, it's not going to make or break. So 30 or 60, use that as your frame rate. Resolution, 1080p is fine. You don't need to shoot in 4K. In fact, most of you, it would be pointless to shoot in 4K. You're just going to waste space.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be looking at it on your phone, zooming in. It doesn't really matter. Just use 1080p. And then
If you're not posting it to anything,
yeah.
and even sometimes if you are still like social media and stuff, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, just use 1080p unless you're trying to make YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And 4K.
Exactly. And then most phones should have a slow motion mode. So like on the iPhone, it can do 120 frames a second or 240, and then it will be slow in the camera. I would not film your games like this because you don't need to see it that slow. But if you are drilling and there's a specific thing you want to see how you're doing, like let's say your backhand dink needs work, you could set up a side angle, film in 240 FPS, and now you can see everything very smoothly in slow motion and see what you're doing wrong. If you watch my 15,000 or 25,000, however many backhands in 14-day video, I basically did that entire video by filming myself in slow motion. I would take the footage home, I would watch it, and then go, oh, here's what I'm doing wrong. Or I thought I was doing this, but I'm not.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things in that video was I just didn't bend my knees enough. And I thought I was getting low. I would go back to the court and go, okay, I'm going to bend my knees. And I'd be like, I got it.
That's the biggest thing. And this applies to any sport. I've competed in many sports growing up, some at a very, very high level. And your mind does not connect with your body on what you think you're doing. You might feel like, oh man, I'm really turning my hips, or I'm getting really low. Like I swear I can't get any lower. You're going to record yourself and you're going to be standing straight up. That's why like having a training partner or a coach is important.
Yeah.
Versus like a camera or also having a camera, because you don't actually know what you're doing until someone else sees it and tells you, or you see it.
Yeah.
Like your brain does not connect to your body knowing like what you're actually doing.
Yep, totally. So just be aware that that's one of the reasons it's so helpful. But yeah, if you're drilling, filming in slow motion is awesome. I find it's just a little easier to see like, oh, here's what I was doing with my wrist, or when I did like a punch volley, like maybe my face angle was too high, where in real time it can be a little harder to see that. So that's where I would use slow motion, is for drilling.
Yep.
Outside of that, I mean, the reasons you should do it, you'll improve way faster.
Oh, so much faster.
Like, here's the thing. A lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but at least for me, I didn't do coaching for a long time. And being able to just film yourself can be such good feedback. Like, you would think, oh, well, I don't really know how to improve. You can pick up some small things, be like, oh, like I shouldn't be standing straight up. Or like when I hit a counter, I'm like swinging and my arm is finishing out here. Like maybe I shouldn't be. You can see those things yourself and be like, okay, I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll mimic what the better people are doing. So it's just such a...
Being able to record yourself versus just trying to remember what you were doing. One, if you're drilling or you're playing, you get to see if you're executing shots poorly. So you can fix your form on how to play. Now, recording your games, you can watch them back and be like, okay, I hit this drop, wasn't perfect, but I charged in, or my partner hit a drop and I moved in when I shouldn't have. And so like knowing what you did wrong on the court versus like having to think of it while you're playing. It's way too much thinking going on to try to like fix that while you're playing. Record yourself, go home, sit down, watch it back and dissect it point by point.
And then you can go back out and try and work on it.
I mean, look at, like Kyle Kazuda and whatnot. Like, it's how you train and how you coach people is like you record and then you like discuss and dissect like how you're playing and what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, totally. There are a few things just to be aware of if you might have some of these issues. So battery life could be an issue for most of you. Probably not going to be an issue unless you're filming for a really long time. But honestly, if you film 2 games, it's probably all you really need, maybe 3.
Yeah.
if you live in a really hot climate like Florida or Arizona in the summer, your phone might overheat, especially Arizona. Like if it's in direct sunlight, there is definitely a good chance your phone can overheat. So just be aware that you might only get a game in, sometimes even less if it's really that hot outside. If you have like a newer iPhone, it might be a little better. There are things you can buy, like little umbrellas for your phone. I've seen just a block.
Just take your case off when you put it in the tripod. That's one thing that helps, because a lot of these cases hold in heat.
Yeah.
And so taking the case off allows it to breathe a little bit more. So that will definitely help. But if it's 85 plus in direct sunlight, most of the time your phone's going to overheat.
Yeah. So just be aware you could run into that. Some people might have storage issues, but again, that's why if you just film in like 1080/30, which is like the lowest I would recommend, that'll also take the least amount of storage versus like 4K 60 frames a second is going to just eat your storage.
One, it eats storage. It'll kill your battery while you're recording, and it makes your phone hotter because it requires more processing power to record in those high frame rates and higher resolution. So yeah, if it's really hot, 1080/30 is probably your best bet.
For sure. So yeah, anyways, guys, definitely if you do this week, come back, let us know what you thought. If you watched yourself, were you as good as you thought you were? Were you better? Were you worse?
Eye-opening moments.
If you did get to drill and do some stuff in slow motion to watch back, were you doing what you thought? Like, come back next week and just let us know how it went, because I'm honestly very curious to hear, because it's one of the best things I've done for my game.
It's so great. It helps so much, and like I drill a ton. I mean, I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning to go drill with a friend, David Dutrell, at a local place called Chips. And I record myself every time I drill. A lot of games I record if I'm taking it serious. And yeah, I'm going to watch that drill session back later today. And you always get better every day.
For sure. All right. We've made it to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So we had a big local tournament this weekend, which I could not go to. I'm actually super bummed.
Yeah.
Because I was sick or whatever. It was big, though. I didn't know.
Huge.
I knew it was going to be a bigger tournament. But so for reference, our PPA tournament every year usually hits like 800-ish people.
Yep.
And then we
Which
have
is
another,
like the max our venue can handle.
Yeah, it would be brutal if you did more. And then we have another big one, the CT tournament. That one's usually between
500,
I don't know, like 400 or 500
yeah.
about. And so when I was going to check some of the results for some of our friends at this tournament, I was like, oh, let's just see how many people are signed up. It was like 930 people.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, this local tournament was bigger than the PPA here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane.
And we did have some pros here. Obviously, some of our own local pros, Onik, Omric, Rob Nunnery came, Greg Dow was here.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, 900 people. I could not believe it.
It was crazy. It was interesting.
Yeah, you got to go. So, like, was it ran well? Was it
Yeah,
packed?
so, I mean, obviously I wasn't playing, but I was there watching, and it was really interesting. So, it's the place that was running it is a indoor local facility called Pints and Paddles. I don't remember off the top of my head how many courts they have in there, but it wasn't all run there.
Yeah.
So, what they did was really interesting. So, it was pool play. You played through your pool, and then you played through a bracket. So on mixed day, you go outside and you play at this public park. It's brand new. They just added a bunch more courts. It's in Maple Grove. They have 18 courts there, which it's huge. Yeah. It's crazy. It's my first time being there. Really nice courts. Like, they've done it very well. Yeah. I'd like to play there more, but it's far away.
Yeah.
So you play your pool outside there. And then once your pool play is done, you hop in your car and you drive to Pints and Paddles, which literally 4 minutes away.
Oh, so at least it's close.
It's close. It's the only way that would work.
Yeah.
It's really close. You hop in your car, go to Pints and Paddles, and then you wait for your bracket, and then you play your bracket in there. So I didn't actually experience what it was like to be a player, but it seemed like it ran fairly well. Like, the pool play games went really fast. Unfortunately, it's 1 game to 11, win by 1.
Oh,
which
sure.
That was a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
So on mixed day, it was single elimination, pool play, and then single elimination. On men's pro day and women's, it was pool play and then double elimination.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting because at that point, who cares if you lost all your pool play matches? Because everyone goes through.
Yeah, it was just for seeding.
Yeah, it's literally just for seeding. So whether you want to buy or not.
Well, and I guess I shouldn't say just for seeding. Honestly, I think a lot of times the local tournaments do it because you'll get more games, which is often what people want, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels terrible to pay however much money and
Go
then go
0-2.
0-2.
Exactly. Like I understand that the pool play is good for feeling like you got a lot of games in, which is great. But if you're only someone who cares about like you want to win,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, the seating and the pool play is whatever. You don't really care.
Yep.
But it was very entertaining, very high level. A lot of the guys, I mean, we have high level players, Amrik, Sammy, Joel, Tyler. We have very high level guys. And so Grob, nice. Rob and Greg were here, and they did very well in mixed. They both made it to the finals. Nice. And Rob Nunnery and one of our female pros, Jen Tavernier, they ended up taking it and winning it. Greg was looking like he was having a real rough time in mixed. He was getting diced up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was bad.
Uh-huh.
It was really
Bummer.
bad. But men's day, they did not do so well. I mean, they did well, but they got knocked out in the quarterfinals by Amrik and Sammy.
Oh, crazy.
It was a really, really great match. Amrik and Sammy had a huge lead, and then Greg and Rob pulled it back to really close. And then I think the ending score was like, it was either 17-15.
Oh, I think it was 17. Yeah. I saw that score. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, it was.
That's what you want to see.
Awesome match, very entertaining to watch. I should have recorded some. I was having too good of a time cheering them on and watching. So super happy to see that. And then some good friends of ours, Manic and Onik, actually ended up winning the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, very high level matches. It was very fun to watch. It's just crazy to see a local tournament bigger than the PPA. And honestly, probably ran better. Yeah. I think it was run better.
Well, how was it at the venue? Because I only saw like small things on like the website. Wasn't there supposed to be like music and I don't know what the whole was? It just kind of ran like a normal tournament.
It was just ran like a normal tournament.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I mean, there was like, so Pints and Paddles has like a whole restaurant and whatnot. So, and I think they had stuff going on the other side of the building.
Sure,
with that,
but in the
nothing,
tournament area, it was
in the
fine.
tournament area, yeah, it was fine. It was very just tournament focused. It wasn't anything like crazy. It was just focused on pickleball, which is great. So
that's pretty cool.
Really nice. I like that. So Pints and Paddles, one of my biggest complaints about there was they had. Whoever decided this at the beginning of building that place, it just does not make sense. It is all white walls.
I knew you were going to say that.
All the walls are white.
Yeah.
It is just, and there's like a little strip of like 3 colors going around the building. Horrible idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible. You literally could not see the ball. You get into you see a drive coming at you? No, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like hands battles, gone.
Yeah.
Lob, gone.
Yeah.
So there was enough people that complained about it that they actually painted the bottom half of the wall all black. And that helped a ton.
Sure.
I think it looks really nice now. They redid the court surface.
Oh, cool.
The courts feel really good. Good color. It's easy to see now. So
nice.
Yeah, nice venue, and I think the tournament ran really well. I hope to see it back again next year.
Dude, doesn't that park also mean that's our largest like amount of any courts? Because I think Lakeville lifetime is 16.
Yeah, I think it's 16.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So an outdoor park is now our biggest area.
Yep, outdoor park, 18 courts. They have good spacing too. And then what's also really nice is the like waiting area is really nice too. There's some like aluminum picnic tables, and there's umbrellas.
Oh, cool.
That are really nice, that are hoisted up, and just a lot of space, like tons of area to put your bag down. The concrete's really nice, very clean there. So yeah, it's cool area. And if you're someone who likes to wake up early, you can go out there and start hitting at 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it not near neighbors?
It's far enough away that it wouldn't really bother anyone. There's like a
sick.
main road that divides it from like where the nearest houses are.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, super nice. So if you're someone who likes waking up early in the morning and drilling before the sun gets out or before people are out there, 6 a.m. is the early start time. And yeah, it was.
You don't even need the quiet ball if you
exactly.
play there.
Yeah, you don't even need the quiet ball. It was really nice. It was cool. So glad to see we're getting more big parks and bigger tournaments. I always like to see that.
Yeah, 900's crazy.
Dude, it was nuts.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. So
the only weird thing I will say that makes no sense, and this is no fault to the tournament directors who are running it. This is a pickleball brackets issue. I don't know exactly how it was messed up, but basically they did the pool play and then they put all of those games into pickleball brackets, and then it just randomly spat out a seeding. It wasn't like how it actually should have been seeded. It was basically just random.
So did they use the random seating or did they do it proper?
It's just so
Like they didn't try and
someone we know pointed it out and was like, "Hey, this is messed up. This is not the correct way it should be seated."
Yeah.
And they like went to change it, but then the guy who was running was like, "Look, if someone complains, because they'd already put out the seating, like if people complain about it, I have to just put it back to how it was." And somebody did, and so it went right back to the random seating, which makes no sense.
It's at that point, pool play outside of getting more games was truly
Literally pointless
because you didn't get the seating that you should have got.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that would be the only weird, dumb thing that happened. But other than that, everything else seemed to run fairly smooth. I think after the men's pro division was finished with their pool play, it did take a little while to get the bracket going.
Sure.
But other than that, everything went pretty well. The venue has nice food, very good spectating area. It did get a little crowded on some areas, but they have like a nice loft. You can go upstairs and watch from top down, which was really cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
Cool.
Good tournament.
Nice. Well, we'll cover this quick. I was going to put more notes in here, and I just realized I forgot to. Not that I probably would have read the entire letters, but
Yeah.
At this point, you guys have probably all heard the Zane MLP letter, the Collin Johns MLP letter going around the internet. If you haven't, I'll leave those linked down in the description or show notes so you can check it out.
Yep.
But I just thought both letters were funny to me. I mean, when we first saw Collin's letter, you and I were both like, holy crap, this was savage.
Just being a savage, just
Like-
ripping things apart.
Yeah, it was just absolutely wild how aggressive some of those things were in there. And then I don't know if you saw, but eventually Collin made like an Instagram story.
I did see that.
And was basically like, look, I was texting somebody these things. This was not like a formal list and someone turned it into a list.
Yeah, it wasn't directed towards MLP. It wasn't sent to anyone official.
Yeah.
It was literally just conversation with someone.
Which, if that's true, that is crazy that someone turned that into a list.
Dude.
And made it. I mean, here's the thing. First of all, when I did read this, I was like, I could see Collin writing this. I was like,
100%.
There are definitely things he wrote that I was like, this is how I would imagine it would probably be written.
Absolutely.
But here's what I will say. Every single person, probably ever, if you have a smartphone, I guarantee you, especially if you play pickleball, you have had a private conversation where you were venting about something that you would not want public. Or if you were going to say that thing public, you would not write it how you wrote it in that text conversation.
Exactly.
We've all done that.
Yep.
I guarantee it. So if it happened exactly how Collin is saying it happened, I would be livid. Because especially when he was talking about like their female partners on the team, I was like, oh my god,
Dude, I know, that
he
was
basically just made
crazy.
it sound like they are the worst people ever.
I was like, he just does not care about ripping his team apart, like just publicly. Well, I mean, obviously it wasn't supposed to be public, but
Yeah. So stuff like that, I would be very frustrated if I was Collin. And if someone, I mean,
to be fair though, a lot of the points he had, some of them I kind of agree with.
no, I agree.
He had valid points.
There were definitely things in there that I think were valid points. Some of them were a little ridiculous.
Anytime he mentioned Ben, that ridiculous. Dumb.
Yeah.
But some of the other stuff, I understand.
The one that I think made me crack up the most, and I'd have to reread exactly how he worded it, but when his first thing about just like team sports and like, oh, if you're the best player and they just spend a bunch of money on you, the rest of your team sucks. And it's like, yes, that's how these team sports work.
It's literally how it works.
You pay more money to get that, but then you might sacrifice the rest of your team.
the risk versus risk reward, you know?
I was like, this is just how it works.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny to me because like, okay, weird complaint. But there were definitely things like, I think sometimes the trash talk or the overtop from like the bench or on the court or wherever can be a little bit extreme. So like, maybe, here's the thing, we don't need to be like tennis or golf, but I feel like there's definitely a line where it's like, okay, well, this just looks kind of trashy now.
Right. A lot of people make the argument where it's like, oh, well, this is nothing compared to like football
Yeah,
or basketball.
basketball.
But we're not trying to be that. We don't
Yeah.
need to be that, you know?
Yeah.
So like I'm cool. Personally, I'm fine with trash talk on the court. Let the
Yeah.
players argue it out amongst each other. Like that can be entertaining, but shut the bench up, man. There's some specific teams that I think we all know, one in particular, that has some people on the sideline that are really freaking annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I wish, like, some of the things I've heard in person said, I'm like, if I personally was a ref, I would have been like, hey. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
for sure.
I don't know if they can. I mean, I'm sure they can.
Yeah, but it's also hard to hear focusing on the game.
Exactly.
One thing I will say, obviously you want your team there, and I think they should be able to cheer you on, but from a spectating point of view, and I think I heard this about the Pickler one and the one we went to, them being there is kind of annoying because if you're in the lower bleachers, like you're literally just blocked.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
Unless you're on the other side where they're not, so if anyone from MLP is listening, maybe take note of that because it's kind of annoying.
It's tough, though, because, like, okay, where do you put them now?
Well, yeah, I know exactly. I don't know where you put them or what you do with them, but something should be done because I'm like, okay, I'd rather be on a high bleacher because I can't see anything on this
all
low
just
one.
becomes a venue thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, venues need to be, and the problem is all, like, it's temporary.
Yeah.
It's all set up shop like a circus, and then as good as we can, and then leave.
Yep.
You know, like, okay, we don't see MLB, oh, let's set up a baseball stadium at some random public park and then just dip.
Yeah.
Like, it's not how it works, you know? So, personally with MLP, I think I'm not super happy with where it's at right now.
Sure.
With the format and watching it. Because, like, okay, we just had MLP go on in Kansas. I was very uninterested. It's just so hard to get into it when teams are just playing for points. It's
for points, I just don't care. I'm like, I haven't tuned in once to this current MLP because I'm like, I just don't care to watch for points.
Exactly.
Like, maybe there's a matchup or two. I'd be like, okay, this is cool. But otherwise, if it doesn't lead to something, I don't really care.
Exactly.
And I also thought Braden and Kyle made a really good point last week on their pod, which was that if you're going to do these events, instead of doing like one big tournament, and I realize it's probably going to be harder to film and like get crews set up and whatever, and you're not probably going to have as big of an audience maybe, but doing them in different regions instead of one big tournament, you have like 2 matches are played here, 2 matches are played here.
Yep.
Because if you're going to come watch, you're going to watch 1 or 2 matches and you're going to be gassed after. You don't want to sit there for 9 hours and watch all the MLP
Some
matches.
of these MLP matches will last over an hour, and sitting in one spot watching pickleball for 2+ hours, 2 matches. When we're in Beer City Open, especially when it's hot out, it's like, you start to get a little tired, a little burnt out just from watching. It's exhausting when you're sitting in the sun. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I've always said that where I would like, so you know how Utah Black Diamonds, it's them, right? That has that facility.
Yeah, or will have that facility.
It almost just needs to become like a home court, home facility, stadium.
I mean, I think that's what the goal is.
Yeah, every team needs to have one of those, just like how we have the Target Field Twin Stadium or the Vikings US Bank Stadium, and 2 teams go, one's playing home and one goes out, and you do like a Tuesday night pickleball and you just watch, okay, these 2 teams are playing each other. And it's like a regular league, just like any other professional sport. That's honestly what I would like to see. I think that would be easier to follow and more interesting to watch than either that or do the tournament format.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Completely agree. But yeah, it was funny reading Collin's letter, and then when Zane's, I just also thought was funny because it was basically just like counters to everything he said.
Kind of mocking him a little bit.
Yeah, kind of mocking him a little bit. So
which, if it's true about how this was just a conversation and then it was, without him knowing, put into an email format and then being sent out there, and then getting mocked essentially by another pro.
Yeah.
That
doesn't feel good.
That's pretty bad. Okay. Like I have some sympathy for Collin in that regard, if what he said is true.
Yeah, for sure. One thing though that I did think was pretty standout, I think Zane made a lot of great counter arguments. I didn't agree with all of them, but Zane is usually pretty thoughtful about these things and thinks these things through. So things I definitely agreed with, but one that I even texted you this, but I just thought was good perspective. So anyone who works in pickleball, this is good perspective for you, and maybe it can be for other people who just play pickleball. But at the end, so Collin was complaining about like the Vulcan ball and saying like, yeah, like I have this contract, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do it, but don't expect me to be happy about it. And then at the end of Zane's, he basically said something to the effect of, I used to be a CPA working 70 hours a week, and I am never not thankful that I get to do this for a living, even if I have to go chase a Vulcan ball.
I
will gladly go chase that Vulcan ball around.
Exactly. Yeah, which great perspective.
It's very good perspective. And look, I don't even think that fully negates what Collin said. Like, you can still make good money and be unhappy with the current state of things. Like, with the Vulcan ball where it had been prior to this second batch ball, and maybe even still this ball, it was clearly bad. Like, it was obviously annoying. Pros were frustrated across the board. That should get fixed. But I just thought it was good perspective in that, like, look, we should be grateful that the sport is even where it is. We can make this much money and do this as a job. And then even just when I was thinking about, you know, this, I'm like, okay, there are definitely days, like even today, like I'm a little bit sick and I was like, maybe we just shouldn't record a pod. I was like, I just feel like staying home and working on some other stuff.
Yeah.
Or like, this is just like kind of annoying. We have to set up all this stuff and like record. And I was like, okay, but you have to put into perspective that even a bad day in this, like me being sick and still setting all this up, is still way better than what I was doing before. And I feel like that's kind of what Zane's point was. Well, like, yeah, would we rather go back to what we had before? Mm-hmm. No, probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
So for like, as someone or us who works in pickleball, I thought that was good perspective. And I think even just being thankful as a whole, everyone in pickleball, that pickleball has gotten to where it is. It's gotten the mainstream of where it is, more courts being built, technology getting better, like all of these things improving. I feel like we can all just be like a little grateful for where things are, even though there's lots of things that still need fixing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what you were saying a couple weeks ago when you're out in Newport. Played terrible, felt bad, like getting frustrated. We've all been there. But then you went and played those rec games afterwards, you know, kind of redemption, and then it was a blast. Like, it's going back to like what pickleball's about. Yeah. Like, we're all having fun. It's a great community. Like, let's just enjoy what we're doing and honestly just be thankful that we're able to do it, especially like what we're doing, you know, every day. Like, I've definitely had days where I'm like, I really don't want to do this. But then I think about it and I'm like, okay, I've worked a lot worse jobs and I'm very happy to be doing what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So
honestly, the majority of bad days in pickleball are better than an average or even a good day in like some things I've done before. So
exactly.
I just saw that and I was like, you know what, Zane? I was like, that's good perspective for everyone.
Yeah. Not everything you said in there I agreed with, but there were some good points.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, just thought it was all interesting, like seeing how this whole thing came down, because it was random. So like that Collin letter, it just seemed like a leaked email, and you're like, okay, if this went to a higher up at MLP, like let's just say Collin emailed it in to whoever higher up.
Yeah.
Why would they leak it? That feels weird. If you leak it to like some of the top people, they probably don't want that leak because now it just looks like MLP's bad or whatever. Maybe they do. PPA seems to love their drama, whatever.
Controversy.
But so that felt weird to me at first, because I was like, how did this get out? I was like, it just started.
It was weird. I didn't think about that. It did seem odd.
Yeah. So if what he's saying adds up, that kind of tracks or whatever. So I don't know. Either way, it was kind of weird how that happened, and if that did, like, yeah, people gotta, like, pickleball is all about like drama or rumor spreading, and like I just don't. Sometimes I'm like, yes, okay, I get that this is like kind of fun. People want to know like the inside scoop or whatever, but I'm also like, do we not have anything better to do? Like,
it is
just
interesting.
Gonna gossip about other people. Like sometimes it just doesn't feel good.
Some days it does surprise me with how much drama there is in pickleball.
Yeah.
But then I think about it and I'm like, I've been in other sports. Like, I used to bowl extremely competitively. I was a very high level bowler.
Yeah.
And same thing. There was a lot of drama in that too. Yeah. Not as much as pickleball and not quite to the extent, but there was still drama. Yeah. So, but pickleball is something special about it, man. People are crazy.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I'm just like, we could do something better than just like spread rumors all the time. So I don't know. That's about all I got. You got anything else?
No, that's about it for me.
Cool. Well,
can't wait to see all of you guys out in Kansas. Like Christopher said, if you see us, come say hi. Love chatting with people and meeting new people. So don't be shy.
Yep. Sounds great.
Sweet.
Well, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right. See you later.
Peace.